And your phone always makes a weird sound when you sell like 4 items. So on today's video, we're going to go through the what sold. I have about 12 cards to go through. Got 11 on eBay, 1 on Etsy. And then with the special topic, I got something I don't deal with. I very rarely do I sell any of these or keep them in the store. They're called postcard folders, souvenir packets, postcard packets. The names are all over the place for these things. Maybe someone knows what the official term is. So I just picked one of them. Postcard folders is what I use there, and I'll probably use souvenir packets throughout the video. Just different things. Once you see them, it's these things. You'll know what I'm talking about. And we'll get into those and some pricing and just to show you what they are. I have one example here I'll show you as well. And then I did a poll. Do you source high-end postcards? I had one person ask me, well, what do you mean by high-end? So I come up and I said, that's a good question. I'll put a range on it. So eBay standard envelope, you can do $20. So anything over $20, do you source those types of cards? So I have some responses and some comments from people on those. And I got about 3 viewer comments. And Biff gives us a little tip we can use on the payment section in there. He's always good for those. So let's go through to what sold real quick. The first card that sold is, this card sold for $5.65, $1 more than my normal minimum. And if you look at it, it's just a chrome card. It's one of those series cards, those Union Oil Company chrome cards. They say these are the first chromes that were put out. They were premiums handed out to customers at stations and stuff. And I have a video about series postcards and one of these and talk about these. But that sold for $1 more. Most of the time they don't sell as well. That does some things on there, but in that video there's a checklist to figure out what year these are and stuff like that. There's a website you can go to. But that sold for $5.65. Next one, just a regular chrome card of a county fairgrounds. Kind of a blurry car going through. Rounded corners. These are called rounded corners when they round the corners. Now you'll get rounded corners from years of storage or moving cards around, but this is actually made to be rounded. But that's just the fairgrounds, unposted, $4 to $5. Next one's kind of a crazy card. It's all over the place. Louis Papa's Famous Restaurants. Is that food or a Jello cake? I really don't know what that is. But it's on $4 to $5. At first when I sold it, it looked like a large letter on the little thing in eBay. But when I pulled it out, it was just a chrome card with this stuff on there. Next one is Mountain Shadows Hotel, Scottsdale, Arizona. $4 to $5. View card of the hotel. It looks like it's a swimming pool on there. $4 to $5. Next one is what they call a Tux, a Raphael Tux oilette. An oilette is basically a trademark name that Tux did, and they wanted the postcards to look like a painted brush portrait, and that's where the oilette comes from. And you'll see it on the card right there. It says oilette. But that's what it is they tried to make it look like a painted portrait. And I do have a video, probably before this one I did on Tux. And I do talk a little bit about the history of the Tux postcards. But when I pulled this card out, I said, wow, the thick cards. They got the little series numbers on there. Learn about those numbers in that video. But this sold for $6.65. And this is from the Men of Letters series. Now, series don't mean a lot in Tux. They're kind of ignored, is what I read. Next one, this came from the private collection videos. I bought a private collection for $1,200, had 8 albums, and I have a series of videos. I went through each of the albums, and I'm tracking how much I spent, how much I sell, and I should have a year update coming out in the next couple months on how I did for a year so far. Now remember, postcards are long term, but I did get my money back already for that buy, and now I'm moving forward on there. And I'm trying to keep up with the videos on that, like every 6 months. They don't sell as fast now. In the beginning, I sold a lot of them. Whenever you list some new stuff, you'll sell 5–10% of it, and it's kind of here and there now, just like normal cards. But this is the Linden Place, Bristol, Rhode Island. Chrome card, posted, and this came out of album 5. Next one is, I don't have a lot of religious cards. They usually go, I don't price a lot of them up unless they're older churches or something unique. But this one was Shrine of Our Lady, Good Counsel, Chicago. It's a shrine, good solid card stock, chrome card, sold $4 to $5. And of course, I gotta sell ships, Navy ships. I got that big thing. USS Hancock. This is a publisher card from Boyer, Sim Valley, California. I have 58 more of these to go through. That's a small quantity on some of my cards. I have quantity, so when I listed that card, I listed it, USS Hancock, put all the stuff in there, $4.55, and then I put a quantity. I counted each of the cards out. There's probably 60 cards. I put 60 as the quantity, so I never have to deal with that stack of cards again, except when they sell. Now when I get down to like 5, 10 or 5, I'll probably pull them out and count them and double check the quantity on eBay to make sure I don't oversell on there, but a lot of the cards are like that. And I don't sleeve each one of those 58 cards. I have the dividers, the plastic dividers in the boxes with the number on it, and behind there is the cards. It didn't make sense for me to sleeve 60,000 cards. So when I had quantity like that, I would just put the divider number in there. And as you see in some of the videos, that's what those are. Next one is Greetings from San Fernando Valley. Kind of a banner card. I like them when they're at the bottom. Chrome card, $4 to $5. This next order was 4 items. And your phone always makes a weird sound when you sell like 4 items. It goes crazy, and you think you're selling it. One guy bought 4 Navy. These are Navy ship cancels or Navy covers, naval covers. And what they buy these for, and I've said it before in the videos, is that stamp right here. This was the USS Randolph, 1968. So the people on the ships they'd send an envelope in and they'd get that stamp. That's one. He bought 4. And the total of the order was $18.20. And since he did have 4 cards, he got the 15% volume discount. So whatever the 4 cost, then he got 15% discount. And that helps sell more than one card. This is the Will Rogers. I just put these up the other day. That's the Will Rogers right there. And this is the USS Will Rogers also. And then this one's USS Will Rogers. Most of these were in 50s or 60s. So he bought 4 of them for $18.20. And those will go eBay standard envelope. It'll be about 2 ounces in an eBay thing. Then I just had this morning, right before I did the video, I have different countries blocked that I don't ship to. And this gentleman asked me if I would ship to Israel. And I had Israel blocked. Instead of going back and forth, I don't have a lot of money in this card, and he wanted it. I opened Israel up, so I said, give it a few minutes. It takes a little bit to go through 30,000 cards, and then you should be able to buy it. He bought it. I'll send it out to him. And he asked me if I had any more. I don't remember any of these, but I told him he can search our store on there. Give a little ownership to the customer to find it. But this is 1913. It's a foreign card. It's from Israel, I think. But that's going to go out this morning. So that was eBay, about $70 in cards for 11 overnight. Then I sold one on Etsy. Sunrise Mount Rainier National Park. Just a view card of Mount Rainier. $4 to $5. And I will be closing my Etsy store, so I just threw everything on a big discount in there, and I got to go through and I got to pull about 4,000 cards, 3,800 to 4,000 cards out of my inventory. And I'm sitting there, you know what? What if I throw a big sale on, and some people go in there and, buy some of the cards? It'll save me some time. I'm trying to get all that closed out by the first of the year, but to do that many cards and pull them out and stuff like that, that takes a while. So I'm kind of letting them expire, and then in the expired ones I just go over and I'll bring my laptop over and I'll stand there for an hour and just pull out 60, 80 cards. And I'll do that, try to do that daily if I can to get it down to a manageable level, but it'll go to, at one time I had something like 5,500, 6,000 cards on Etsy, and it just didn't pan out. But I'll have a video, if I haven't done it before this video, on the goals for 2023 that I'm working on, changing my business, refocusing on stuff. Hey, sold a boat, USS Whetstone, $4 to $5. They come in all the time. That's why I leave the phone on, so people see that I actually do sell a card, and I love that sound. So that's what I'm doing with Etsy on there. But that's the what sold. Now let's get into these postcard folders, souvenir packets, souvenir or postcard packets, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples what I'm talking about. But before that, I just want to show you, I have this one, and I've kept this one. I haven't listed it yet. It's just not on the top priority. This is a postcard folder souvenir packet of Disney World. I think this is Disney World in Orlando. So it's not as old as Disneyland, but a lot of times these don't have postcards. They have these pull-out things like this, and they have an image here and an image on the back. They don't have the postcard back, but they still call them postcard packets. And I think this would be what they call a souvenir packet. But some of them do have postcard backs on them, but the paper is so thin. And they're just, Kurt typed there, I think that some of them, I'm not for sure. I have to get into the details here in a minute. But that's one of them, is what they are. They come in these packets, they fold out like this. What they are, souvenir packets of images. And some I have on there, but I've gotten a lot of questions about that. That's why I'm doing this special topic. To learn a little bit more myself, but also explain what I know about these things and what I do with them. So let me go ahead and give you some facts about the souvenir packets, and then I'll show you, while I do that, I'll show you some examples that I found. The first souvenir folder in the United States was copyrighted in 1897. Now you notice they called it souvenir folder. Souvenir packets, postcard folders, whatever name you want to call it. So in 1897 by the Wirtz brothers. Folders were purchased as souvenirs by travelers. Folders usually contain the same images that can be found separately on postcards. And like I said, a lot of them are not postcards, but then there are some in the packets that are postcard backed. So, souvenir folders were meant to be sent through the mail, and most would have printed stamp box and address lines, but some did not and included an envelope for mailing. Folders are part of postcard history and as such are collectible. People collect anything, everything. Folders with many views, you may find that one or more of them are elusive in the postcard form. They might just only be in one or the other. There is not a lot of collector interest in folders. They don't sell well at all for me, and I don't have a lot of requests for them, and I see them sold in lots, very cheap, stuff like that. Some reason for this, not as easy to store as postcards. They're a little thicker, they take up a little bit more room, and mismatch between the visual quality of the folder cover and the postcards inside. So the outside probably looks really good, but when you get inside, the images are more faded, more not as sharp, and stuff like that on some of them. I currently do not collect or sell many of these, just special ones like the military. So with the ship cancels, I got some from 1940s, 1944. They were, one was Pearl Harbor, another one, I did price those up to like $7, $8. They sat for a long time and they did sell, but I'll look at those type of ones with a cancel on them or something, but it's got to be very special for me to get, otherwise they go in the flea market box, and I just basically sell to that guy and my other stuff. So I don't do a lot with them. I don't source them. I get them in lots more than I get them anywhere else. And you saw some pictures I showed you of what I'm talking about. Reinforce what I'm saying with some of the prices here. So with the sold high, here's a lot number 7, 250 vintage postcards, souvenir folders, and packets. 250 for $134.99. So if I take $144.99 divided by 250, that's 54 cents a piece, plus shipping, and $23 shipping, so about 60 cents a piece he's selling those for. Next one is Postcard Rocky Mountain National Park. So there's one that sold for $18. It's a 1937. So maybe something special with that one. Some of these can sell. It's just that I just have no luck knowing which one. It's a niche I didn't want to go down. So that one sold for $18. 9 Texas souvenir packs, $7.50. Then you get over to the low stuff, where I think these belong. $1.99, $3, $3. So that's your spread again. There might be some special ones out there. I keep lookout for the military ones or ones with cancels on them. I will look at if they're at an antique booth, and I'll thumb through. I'll pick it up and look and just see what it is. But very rarely will I pick them up. And the one for $18 is a pretty good one, I guess. But maybe someone that's just a one-off. Not sure. I don't look too much into them. But let's see what people are thinking these things are worth with the listed. One guy has 78 of them, and he's selling for $1 a piece, $78. That's what we saw the other one sold for. So the shipping ain't bad. Vinny Postcards, Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio, souvenir packet, that's the name. And he's got a pull-out picture, which is fine. I mean, that looks good. These pictures aren't bad. And then you got Santa Monica, $37.48. I think they're a little high on some of these. $78, $1 a piece. Someone might pick it up, but to put out $78 for souvenir folders all at once, I can go out and buy 1,000 postcards for that. Listed low, I think these are more in line where they should be. This would be a pretty cool one. It's got the turnpike on there. I always do well with road and highways, and turnpikes and stuff like that are pretty good. So $2. It's a postcard packet. If there are really postcards in there, I think you could probably get a little bit more for that one on there, maybe double that. Then you got the Greater Kansas City, $5, $4, free shipping. Another one is 90 cents. So I think the low ones listed here are going to go before those other ones, but they're just not very collectible and sought after is what I see. If anybody sells these or do good with them or a big collector of these, let me know on there. But I just wanted to show you what these things are, because you'll see them in lots like this, and a lot of resellers will say, hey, I can get these for less than $1. I'm going to go ahead and list them. They're going to sit. In my store, they sit. I had a bunch when I started putting stuff online. I had a bunch of them, and I put them online. They just sat it. So I finally took them out and threw them in the flea market box. They just weren't selling, taking up. You put, 100 of them in a box, and they take up half the box. And you can put 800 postcards in there. They're just, and the shipping's different with them because they're a little thicker. It just didn't fit into my business, so I don't do them that much. They go first class when I sell them. I put them in an eBay 8x6 envelope and put them in there, but I don't think I got any right now listed. I think I got some still in the Navy boxes, but they're not that special. And a couple came with the Mary Martin auction. I think there might be one in there that was in the lot, one of the boxes. That's postcard folders, souvenir packets, postcard packets, whatever you want to call them. Who knew? Every Saturday morning, I put out polls. They're in the community tab on the channel. So if you go to my channel on YouTube and go to at the top it says community, you can see all the polls I put out this year. And it start at the bottom and just go up, and you can see what the best practices are. I'll be compiling all of those at the end of the year to put out the first year. What I call it best practice. Best practice is not defined by YouTube or eBay. Best practices are defined by sellers and buyers. And what this tells me is, what do these resellers think about these polls, and what are they doing? So I'll be able to go and put, I think I'll get a good dozen or so best practice type things from those polls to put out on there. But this poll was, do you source high-end postcards? So again, let's define it. $20 and over. Anything that doesn't go eBay standard envelope. 63% said yes. 37% said no. So I don't go after bolos. I stopped chasing bolos. I hate that word, be on the lookout for and stuff like that. Hard to find is better for me. One of a kind RPPCs. I don't chase all those down and try to find those because you just get exhausted. I go after my regular cards. I sell $4 to $6 cards every day. Motels, stuff like that, boats, ships, trains, anything that looks interesting to me. And as I'm going through the boxes or through the booths or through the flea markets or lots, these other things will pop up, these high-end postcards. So they just kind of fall in there. So I just go ahead, I even do that with my action figures. I look at the average action figures. If I see one that's worth more, I pick that up. But I'm not sourcing just the top dollar ones. I think most resellers do that. But if you're just out there looking for the hard to find ones, totally different model than what I do. You're going to pay a little bit more for those. You're going to get a little bit more money. My model is $4 to $6 cards, most of it. But I will sell the high-end cards when I see them. And that's just a personal preference. I like chrome cards. Divided back to chrome. They fit more in what I know. But I had some comments on here. Daryl Stockton says, yes, if I can find them. Did pick up a couple a few weeks ago that I paid $1 for at an antique mall and sold for $50 on eBay. Always looking. You can make some good money by cherry picking some of these things. And he did. He made $1 into $50. I hear that all the time, and I do it all the time. I find cards I pay $1, less than $1 for, and it sells. Alex Metz says, I do here and there, but mainly stick to the bread and butter cards. I sold one last week for $80 that I paid $1. So there's another person that bought a postcard for $1 and it sold for $80. And you want to know why? It's because they're learning their niche. They know what to look for. They got experience. They went out there and did the hustle and stuff like that. And that's what I try to do with these videos, is give you some ideas as you go through these boxes, what some of these cards are worth. I mean, if you're looking through there and you find a Disney card of a Disney Grand Canyon diorama, if you haven't watched a Disney video, you need to watch that, because if you see a Disney Grand Canyon diorama with the porcupine, that's an $80 card. Very rarely do I find them, hardly ever, never. And when you do, those are the type of things. The more you educate yourself on hard to find cards and just what sells, and look at the sell-through rates, is what these people are doing. They're getting experience. You don't have to be an expert in postcards to sell them. You just got to know what sells. Go out there and look at people's sold. Go into my store. I have over 30,000 cards in there, and see what people are buying. Then go over to Kelly's store, go to someone else's store. That we all got different niches, and you can kind of see what things have sold for. And you want to find more than one sold for a certain price, unless it's a one-of-a-kind card. You want to get a good trend on there. Boldly Grow Pickers. I have a few, and I keep an extra eye out, but I source quantity more often than not. Yeah, that's about with me too. $4 to $6. I like buying the bigger lots, get them cheaper. Stuff like that. So high-end postcards, if it's a model like RPPCs, the higher end stuff, you're going to have a totally different model than what I am. It's still postcards, but you spend a lot more time researching. You have a lot more questions with buyers. Your shipping's a little different because it can't go eBay standard envelope. You might deal with some returns a little bit more, where if I sell a $4 to $6 card, minimal research, goes in eBay standard envelope, very few questions, just a memento most of the time, and they hardly ever come back. So you will have a little bit of baggage with the higher stuff, but they're really cool, and some of them are really good money. That model, I would probably love to do it, but I'm just not that person to sit down and do all that digging on there. I'm more of a quantity person. That's what I enjoy. Some people enjoy that researching and stuff like that. I'll leave it up to them, and they'll leave my little stuff to me, and we'll be fine. But that's the poll. Check them out every Saturday morning. Viewer comments. I always try to throw up some viewer comments. This channel is not all about me. It's about what other people are saying. And that's why I like the comments, because they give me a chance to ad-lib on some things, and we can have a discussion, like-minded people, about postcards. But Christina, I grabbed this one because it came in the other day, and I haven't had this question in a while, but I'll tell you how I replied. But Christina said, I bought 200 lot of postcards on eBay to try and start selling. Did the first step, is you bought some cards. Now you got to get them listed. I want to start small as I would be a new seller. We're all new. We were all new at one time. I'm trying to learn as much as I can to get started. I've been observing how people ship them too. I think that's the thing I'm scared about, is shipping. It's probably one of the easier things once you do it. People ship them in such different ways. I want to sell so I can fund my hobbies and purchase cool postcards. Exactly. I recently bought some Halloween ones for my collection. Great. So let me break this down. So she bought 200 cards. She's ready to go. She's wants to start small. You will start small. You're going to start with number 1 and trying to learn as much as to get started. You will learn more by getting started. You have to get your first 1,000. I replied as get your first 1,000 postcards listed and start selling. And in 6 months, you're going to learn all the shipping. You're going to learn what to do and not to do and stuff like that. That's what I recommend people do if they want to get into postcards. You don't have to buy the big scanners or whatever and stuff like that. See if this is what you want to do, and learn the eras, what each postcard is. Don't be afraid to ask questions here. Divided back, chrome, linen. Do your research on pricing. Not everything is going to be, just because it's 100 years old doesn't mean it's worth $100. There's billions of postcards out there, so you're not going to be able to pick out a real hard to find one right away the first 6 months. Some people can. I mean, if you see a Halloween card with a witch on it and a pumpkin and a black cat, yeah, you're going to take a second look at stuff like that. Do foreign sell for you and stuff like that. But put your first 1,000 cards up, work them for 6 months, get your listing workflow, all your workflow put together, and then decide if you want to do it, and just to continue moving through. Now with the shipping, what you can do is go out there and buy like a dozen postcards from 12 different buyers. They don't have to be expensive cards. Go out and find some $2, $3 cards from different people, win some auctions and stuff like that, and get all those cards in and look at each envelope and how they shipped it and how they mailed it, and pick out what you like the best. And then it's how you do it. Me, these Echo Swift 6.5 by 4.5 envelopes, I can fit up to 4 cards, 1 ounce in these, and they're sealable. They're great. They're those and above, unless you cut them down and do all this stuff. I do that, and you can buy them in different sizes and stuff. But that's what I recommend to people for shipping. Go out there and buy a dozen postcards from a dozen different people, cheaper ones, and just see how they ship them, if you really want to learn that. And I think that video you watched on there does that. But you just go out there and do it. Learn. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to make mistakes and stuff like that. You'd rather get that out of the way. But once you get the shipping figured out, your shipping policy set, it's not hard. It really isn't. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So don't stop, and don't be afraid. You're not going to learn everything by just watching videos and stuff. You got to do it. So if someone does something 1,000 times, they're going to get pretty good at it on there. So thanks, Christina, and definitely put some questions in there if you got any questions, or reach out to me on email. In the email, if you want to have any questions, we'll get you going. Next one is Kathleen. I always get corrected on names. I apologize in advance if I screw anybody's names up, towns, cities, or websites. I am just not good at pronunciation. So Sundry is pronounced Sundry. Long E. I was calling it Sundry. Sundry. And what it means, she said, is it means various kinds, usually of items too insignificant to be listed separately. So with the Disney video, Sundry.net or whatever, that website for Disney, I forgot what it was, SundryCollectibles.net, I think it was. That's what I kept saying, Sundry. So I apologize. And I apologize in the future if I offend anything. I think one of the other ones I have a problem with is Puget. So I always screwed up. I can't remember. I get corrected all the time. Thanks, Kathleen, and keep correcting me. Maybe I'll learn something one day. And then Bit Buffalo is a viewer on the channel, and he has a lot of postcards he sells a lot of, and he always gives tips out on different things on the website. And I thought this was important because I remember seeing this years ago or whatever, but I've never used it in a long, long time. I don't think I've ever used it. And when he wrote this, I actually remembered something about it. And I could have used this on that one video where the guy asked to not ship it if he can pay later, and I have the 4-day cancel thing on. I could have done this. So here it is. I have my payment requirement set at 30 days. Let them shop. Yes, in the postcard world, people will shop. It takes a long time to go through stores. So if at any point in time, I could have 6 to a dozen people, cards in there that haven't been paid for. They were bought, but they haven't been paid for because they're shopping. Also, if you go to account settings, seller preferences, preferences for items awaiting payment, edit in your eBay account settings. Not only can you edit the number of days before an item is automatically canceled or relisted, I have mine set for 4. I did that a while ago, I don't know, a year or so ago, just to stave off some of the things I was having, maybe a little spurt of those and stuff on there. But there is also a field where you can add user's name that you want exempt from this policy. Whenever someone asks for more time, I just put their name in the list. Although now that I give people 30 days, it hasn't been an issue. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to, Biff, I think I'm going to set a management that way like you did. I think I'm going to set mine back to 30 days or whatever it was. I can't really remember why I set it to 4. I think it's just to get people to pay, or something happened. Maybe I had a run on returns and other things. You'll get that. You'll get spurts on returns. You'll get spurts on trolls coming in. Spurts on people telling you your stuff's wrong. Just go with the flow. Ride the wave. Treat each one as a transaction. If a return comes in, deal with it. Move on. Bad feedback comes in, deal with it. Move on. Don't let it bother you. Can't find a card? Refund. Cancel. Take the defect. Move on. It happens. You know, something gets lost in the mail. Move on. Don't beat yourself up over little things. So, Biff, I think I'm going to go to 30 days. So I'll actually do that after I get done recording this. But things like that is what you can learn on this channel, like what Biff just said. It reminded me of something out there, and I hope it gives you guys an idea, too, on there. So if you guys got any little tricks and stuff like that, no matter if you think it's nothing important, it's like this little thing here, can help someone out really big time. Hey, I got mine set to 4, but I got all these people saying, hey, can I have some extra time? Just go and put their name in there. You can refer to this video to get the notes or write it down. But that's what I like about having one place with like-minded people in there. Now, with these packets of paper, postcard paper, I guess, whatever the image is or whatever like that, reminded me of one of the things. I did a video, and it's called Pull Out Postcards, where you pull out, there's a postcard, images inside the postcard pocket, and you pull it out or whatever, or if a little door opens and you pull out these little images. Those are what they call pull-out postcards. I have a video on that, so that's what it reminded me. So that should be your next video you watch to understand those. You have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.